to see everyone again. Just real quick, I'll make a couple general comments in regards to Saturday's game down at Target Field. Once again, what an unbelievable experience that the Twins provided us. The opportunity for not just our fans but our team to play at Target Field. And as time has gone by since Saturday, you sit back and think about, you see some of the pictures and just the operation in general. What a great experience for our players, especially the young men from the state of Minnesota. So kudos to the Twins and the Twins organization for allowing us to do that. Every time you watch film, of course, it's never as good as you hope, probably never as bad either. And I think there's a lot of learning going on. There will be today as well. We'll have meetings this afternoon, try to shore up some things. Again, as I told you after the game, felt like probably too many penalties. Some of them were big. The very first kickoff, of course, brand new rule, something that we had stressed all fall camp, and all of a sudden you have two young men that got too near one another. And the funny thing is they didn't block anyone the entire time they were out there anyway, but still a penalty. And so we learn by those mistakes. And then the ball was on the ground just too many times. We had two fumbles that we lost, and then on a punt return, the ball was on the ground as well. So we still need to continue to evaluate, find the best people for some special teams. Very pleased with where we're at right now. I thought the offense played well, the offensive line especially. Of course, Trey did a great job of managing the game and making plays when we asked him to. And still excited about the defense. I saw a lot of kids running around and playing fast. But you guys know you're only as good as your last game. We need to continue to get better. With that, I'll open up for questions and leading into this week, or any follow-up questions from last week.
Yes, do you even have to address what this week means for some people, that this is one of the games that a lot of people look forward to this coming Saturday?
Well, I haven't addressed a whole bunch yet, Dom. Right now I've only addressed that it's important because it's the only game we have this week, and that's one of the unique things with football. You only get one a week, and you only get 11 of them guaranteed, or 12 this year. So that's the mentality we're going into it with our group right now.
Approach any of that, though? Have you made a plan for this week? Have any alums talking about how important this one is, or are you just kind of letting the fans enjoy it?
We're going to let the fans enjoy it. We need to take care of what we need to do Monday through Friday to prepare ourselves to win a football game on Saturday. So we're going to try to avoid the noise as much as we can.
Big for recruiting-wise, with the Dakota schools, with South Dakota, obviously UND joined the Valley next year. How big is our games and matchups like these for recruiting going out?
Well, I think just winning is big. Kids want to play for winners, and so anytime you have an opportunity to win, it's going to be critical. So, to go 2-0, to have a home game where we're raising the banners, playing it's going to be a packed house, that'll be just as much for recruiting as anything, and we'll have a number of kids on campus this weekend.
All right, you got the first one out of the way. You got the win, the first game as the head coach. Now you take to the Fargo Dome, though. Is there another kind of level of unveiling the excitement for not only yourself but the team as well?
Oh, I'm sure. Just with I made a comment, the number of new players we have on the team and the number of young players that we have on the team right now, it'll be exciting for everyone, not just myself, but them as well. We have a number of guys who've never dressed or had the opportunity to run out from the tunnel or from the helmet in pregame. So it'll be new for a number of us, but try not to make as big a deal about it. Probably going into the week, we still need to make sure that we're ready to execute on when that first kickoff starts.
North Dakota and Drake, what stood out?
I thought they had some really good players. I thought, Noah Wanzik, the wide receiver, is a really good. May not be the fastest young man, but I think his length provides some issues for us. And so I think he's a very, very good wide receiver. I think their offensive line is improved from a year ago. Now, I know their center did not play last week, so that'll be interesting to see if he's back. And also, of course, they finished the game with their backup quarterback. So, of course, as the week goes on, trying to find more and more information to see who will actually be taking snaps for them. On the defensive side, a couple of guys that jumped out. Mason Bennett, a defensive lineman, and then also a young man by the name of Jalen Johnson, two defensive linemen that I think play with a ton of energy. They're going to be their traditional 3-4, a lot of movement, a lot of pressure. We need to do a good job on the offensive side. It's going to be a challenge for us this week. They've always played good defense at UND, and so it'll be a good competition for us.
Any similarities from how they lined up in 2015? I know it's different players when you were scheming that to what you're going to see on Saturday.
I think from a defensive standpoint, it'll be very similar. I think they'll probably continue to their quarter-based 3-4 system that they run with a lot of double hard, some zero, some cover one scattered in there as well. From the offensive side, it looks as if they've made some changes, new offensive coordinators since the last time we played them, and I think they're looking more to be a little bit more tempo, some read zone, some RPO games. So things have changed, but at the same time, we need to be fully prepared for everything. It's tough, with a new coordinator and only one game under their belt, which ended up kind of getting out of hand towards the end. You don't have a lot to look at from the 2019 standpoint.
Last week that none of your players were looking ahead to this week. Did you sense that at all?
No, I think I made the comment last week that I think right now we have so many new faces out there right now. I think they're just worried about the next day. And that's the way that we want them. And we talked about it. We only have one game a week. We're going to make sure that's the priority, and we're going to try to continue to get better every day.
Is this a rivalry to your players, you think? In-state?
I don't know. I haven't asked any of them yet. Majority of our guys on the team right now have never played UND before. So I would guess if you were to ask them, they may not answer, the Fighting Hawks as a rival.
Cox, anybody?
Yeah, right now we're kind of waiting on some things. Unfortunately, with today being a holiday, we probably haven't had as much information that we would hope to have received yet. We're still waiting till this afternoon. We have a later practice, just like normal on a Monday. But I think we have some kids that are probably banged up a little bit. One of the nice things about Saturday, we didn't have to play everyone as long as maybe you might in a tight contest. I know from the offensive line standpoint, Dylan Radins played 36 snaps. On the defensive side, if you include some special teams, I think 40 was almost the max. So that's always an added bonus when you can create a lead and maintain it.
Season, did more people ask you about the UND game or the game down in the cities?
Probably the game down in the cities. The first game was probably the one that was more talked about. I'm sure it depended on what part of the state I was in that day too.
By the bench, when Javier Darrett went in, seemed like the bench really got into that, being a true freshman. Any particular reason for that, other than the fact that he was a true freshman getting in the game?
I think people have gravitated towards Javi. He's an outstanding young man. He's a yes sir, no sir. His parents were there. His family was there. His brother is a huge mentor of his. So I know, our upperclassmen, they ride our young guys hard. There's a lot of expectations here. I tell them sometimes that, the only time you really need to worry is when the upperclassmen stop talking to you. So if they're giving you a bad time, that probably means they still like you.
Johnson on the 4-game deal, is his red shirt off? He made a decision?
I think that remains to be seen. We still have a long ways to go. He did a great job when he was in there. Gave us some great reps on special teams as well. He is, the young man or the talent that we thought he might be. So I think as we move through the non-conference season, within the next couple of weeks, that'll probably we'll have a better take on that decision.
Week kind of set the tone for the future of games with UND as they're coming into the Missouri Valley next year.
Well, I just think they just become part of the rotation, and so I don't know if it would play any bigger role than that.
Remind you of anybody in the past couple of years as a running back that you faced?
Not that I can think of. Big physical kid, downhill runner, wants to hit it up in between the B gap somewhere. They have utilized him a little bit with some screen game as well. But, he's a big physical kid. We're going to have to be ready to tackle, of course.
You weren't sure on 100% for help, but any update on Jake Reynolds?
Still another one that I'm waiting on for this afternoon.
Valley did this weekend. There was a couple of close calls with Northern Iowa, Indiana State. They didn't win. Is that good for the league that they got close, or is it not so great that the only two Valley teams won this past weekend?
Well, I'm always rooting for the Valley teams to win. Of course, I think it's the best league in the country, and I think our tradition and our body of work have proven that over the course of the last 7-8 years. And I'd love to see those teams win and continue to draw attention to our league. I'm sure if you went to Cedar Falls right now, Mark Farley's not taking any, close isn't good enough for him. And I'm sure at Indiana State, Coach Mallory's thinking the same thing.
One from game 2 is the biggest improvement. Why do you think that is after, playing 60 minutes of football compared to playing, another 60?
Well, I think you get a great evaluation, one, on the number of kids who've played. You get an opportunity to tweak some of the depth charts, including on special teams, defense, where can people help you the most. Just for instance, Cody Mock played, I don't know how many snaps at tight end this last week, because we didn't have Ben Ellison. Well, there's a young man that could fill a role for us, and now we get a chance to evaluate him. Can he play tackle for us now and move back inside a little bit? I've tried to stay away from the conversation or talk to our team about the improvement between week 1 and week 2. I want to see improvement from August 31st to end of November is my goal. I want to continue to get better every week. I think we have a group of kids that need to be pushed in that direction. We can't just think that come after this game that's the best we're going to be.
Tight end play, which is obviously had a lot of guys who needed to get touches on the ball, didn't have many coming into the first game of the season. Is this a reflection, though, of T-Roll being the offensive coordinator, or is this how things shook up?
I think it's just how things shook up during the course of the day. They were a quarters team, and our tight ends were able to get behind their safeties a couple times. You saw Noah's touchdown down there in left field. It was a great job by Trey looking off the field safety and then coming back to the boundary safety and coming back to Noah and putting it only where a 6'6" kid can catch it. And, when they're wide open, it's quarterback's job to find them. And there was a couple instances like that. So, I'm not going to say that there was some favoritism towards the crew chiefs, but I'm not going to say there's not either.
I think that a lot of pressure gets put on the head coach for that first game, but I was really interested to see how the coordinators would come out of that one, just kind of putting their stamp on things. What was your evaluation? What'd you like to see? Was it hard to not jump in on that defensive side a little bit?
It was at times. I tried to give my feedback to either side of the football in the appropriate manner in which I thought. I often joke, unfortunately, there's not a owner's manual that went with that head coaching office, so you kind of by trial and error a little bit sometimes. But I do know Randy told me once I was making defensive adjustments and I was on the offensive side of the headphones, so Randy gave me a quick wrong side and made the flip and went to the other. So there was probably a couple of instances of that where something popped in my mind and I started to speak whoever was there, and unfortunately it was the wrong side of the football. But I thought Tyler and Dave did a great job of leading the guys, and I challenged our staff. We need to be great leaders as well, just because of some of the inexperience that we have on this football team, or at least early in the season until we have some experience. Our coaches and our coordinators need to do a great job of being mentors and leaders for our team.
His status?
Hopefully we're going to find out more this week. And, you're going to ask me about Spencer Wagee next, so I'm going to answer the question for you. Hopefully we find out something really soon here about him.
Improvement for Trey in what areas? I mean, he played well, obviously, against Butler, but when you watch the film, where do you see room for improvement for him to play?
I think the one thing that I addressed to him on the sideline is we can't try to run everybody over. Sometimes it's okay just to get out of bounds. I thought he played really well. I think the challenge to him will be the improvement needs to come from within. We start adding a whole bunch of trade shift in motion and doing some things pre-snap. How does that affect his eyes when you see a picture and then the defense adjusts or makes an adjustment? Can he see the second picture or the adjustment? Now we only have 1 week for preparation. There's another, piece of adversity or a different challenge for him this week. So I think more of it's maybe in the meeting rooms and in the preparation rather than on game day.